Welcome back to Small Caps. I'm pretty excited, and so is my guest today. Dr. Andrew Tunks is the Managing Director of Meteoric Resources. And if you don't know Meteoric Resources already, you should know them from the recent virtual gold conference and their presentation there. Now, Andrew did say that there was lots of news coming out. Well, guess what? There's an announcement out today. Sit up, take some notice. The ASX code is MEI. They have projects in Australia and Brazil. Today, we are talking Brazil. We're talking about a recent survey, and we're talking about an announcement. Welcome to the program, Andrew. I know you're pretty excited.
Good morning, Kerry. Well, I'm lucky. I've got a job that I love, so I'm always excited. So that helps.
Well, let's jump straight into it, and let's talk Brazil, as I said in the intro. You've recently completed a survey across the project, searching for a potential porphyry copper gold target, right? Your announcement today has mentioned a giant IP anomaly. So I can't even say it. I want to know and tell our listeners, how did you identify this and what's going on?
So, firstly, when we talk about porphyry is just a name for a particular style of deposit. They're really common in certain places like Chile, the Andean style of deposit. They're typically copper ones. We get them all over the world. And they really occur particularly at collisional centres where continents are geologically are colliding into each other. And they relate to hot molten rocks coming up from underneath. And they can have a lot of different metals: copper, gold, moly, silver, there's lead, zinc. They can have a lot of different stuff going on. So for a long time, we've been exploring now at Juruena, and we see a different class of deposit called epithermal gold. And that's often, and again, Chile is the classic example of this. The epithermal gold deposits in Chile are close to the porphyry coppers, and they're part of the same spectrum. They're part of this hot upwelling from underneath. So for a long, and at Juruena, where we've been drilling, we see gold, super high grade gold, but then we also see another mineralization event. It's slightly separate, and it's got copper and gold. And so we've long thought about where does that come from and what is the source of that, and how does this fit together in a systems perspective. So we were very keen to explore for that. And then the way that you explore for that, if it's not sticking out of the ground, then you have to look for some other way to look below the ground. Now, ultimately, you want to drill it, but before you go and put drill holes in, you need to have an idea of where it might be. So we made geological models, we did all this thinking, and then we committed to what's called an IP survey. It's just a method of electrical exploration where we put current into the ground, and we see what conducts the current, like a wire, what holds the current, like a battery, chargeable, or what won't let current flow, resistive, and they're all different measures. And so porphyry coppers are characterized by what are called disseminated sulphides. That's little blebs of sulphide throughout the rock, and they commonly have what's called a chargeability signature, and sometimes inside a resistive signature, but the chargeability is an important factor. And what that means is when the current goes in, the ground gets charged, and that's what we see. And that's what we've seen just to the northwest of Juruena, where the main gold thing is, down dip of the main Juruena fault. We've seen this enormous IP chargeability anomaly. And I know that's technical, and I'm sorry.
Actually, do you know what, Andrew? That wasn't too technical. And I was sitting here going, oh, okay, because you're always learning. And I love the fact that you kind of teach us as we go, which is great.
Well, this is a technique that's applied to this particular style of deposit. And so, it's a very exciting time for us. It's the first indication, other than we see copper at the surface and gold. So that's a strong indication. We see the other metals. We see tellurium. We see bismuth. We see moly. We see tungsten. They're all porphyry magmatic related minerals. So we do see those elements increased. So we always thought there was a chance, and we haven't made a porphyry discovery yet, but we've seen something that clearly looks like a large, giant area of sulphides. So that's the first step.
And how deep is it below the surface that what you're looking at?
It looks to be that the top of the anomaly is probably well less than 500 meters. And then it goes down. The survey goes down to about 800 meters, and what we've defined as this circular deposit or circular anomaly at this stage. There's another part of the technique which is coming a bit later called MT, which hopefully will extend that deeper. It's a very complex. In fact, I'm no geophysicist, so I don't really understand the exact differences between the two different surveys. But we should be able to push the survey a bit deeper. But at the moment, we're looking at the top of the anomaly being around 400 or a little bit less, and then going deep. So when we drill this, we'll be drilling probably 1,000-meter deep holes into the heart of this anomaly. But that in itself is a danger, because this anomaly is big, and it's so big, you don't know exactly where to start. So our first drilling will be our first goal is to identify what is the cause of this anomaly. We're certain that it's sulphide. And then the next questions are, how much sulphide? What is the sulphide associated? Is it copper sulphide? Is it iron sulphide? Is there gold? We think we know the answers to some of those already, but only the drill bit will tell us.
Yeah, Andrew, does this, first of all, is this something that because you've got a long career in the industry, is this something that you're looking at going, I'm really onto something here and I haven't seen this before? And also, what are some examples out there that our viewers might be familiar with in this sort of copper gold porphyry?
Well, if they follow the copper gold space at all, the world's biggest gold mine, Grasberg, Freeport's Grasberg, Indonesia, is a copper gold porphyry. And that produces, historically has produced around 1 million ounces plus a year, and hundreds of thousands of tons of copper at the same time. And it makes a Monty. Look at one of Australia's biggest gold deposits, and certainly one of its most profitable, Newcrest Cadia, right? Another copper gold porphyry. Okay. So the gold copper porphyries can be very, very big, like Grasberg, but smaller. There's a whole size range there, but very profitable deposits. And so they're an exciting deposit. So Grasberg's the world's biggest gold mine by production profile at the moment. And I think Cadia might be around the world's 5th biggest, but certainly Australia's biggest gold mine. So these are a very exciting target.
Is it unusual to find something like you've got at Juruena? I mean, look, it's early days, but is it unusual globally to find something of this size and of this interest that I know, because I've known you for a while, you're pretty excited about this?
Well, porphyry coppers can be supergiants, right? So we actually have we have words for these are real classifications. So we have large, giant, supergiant in geology, and there's contained metals around those. The big porphyry coppers are supergiants. So deposits like El Teniente and Chuquicamata, Escondida, they're the supergiants. So they typically are copper only. There's not a lot of gold in those. And then the copper gold ones tend to be a bit smaller in terms of contained tonnage, but very profitable. Brazil is not known really for its porphyry copper deposits, and that's partly just because of the age of the rocks, but also because it probably hasn't been well explored for that, because tectonically, where we look for the continent-continent collision, which is what's happening in Chile now, that happened in Brazil, but it happened a long time ago. Yeah. So typically not super well explored for. But in the Alta Floresta belt, there was a copper porphyry discovered about 2 or 3 years ago, and that really started the exploration boom. It's called Jaca, and it's Anglo-American, discovered that, and they've been drilling that out. And so that's in the same belt, but at the other end of the belt. And that certainly generated an enormous amount of exploration excitement in Brazil, and particular for the Alta Floresta belt.
Well, I want to know what today's announcement means for your upcoming exploration program at Juruena. What's 2021? Because we're in December. What's 21 looking like?
Well, so, I'm the only way that we'll find out what this anomaly is and what it means is that we need to drill it as soon as we can, as deep as we can, as fast as we can, and as smart as we can, okay. Right? So I would expect that we've just finished, in fact, we're on our last gold hole right now. So we will finish that in the next week or two. We'll pack up, give everyone a well-earned break over Christmas, and that's a big deal in Brazil, you know. So everyone will have a break. We'll be back at work some stage in January, and now we're leaving the rig on site. Now, the rig that we have on site, Willamette, the drilling company, have agreed to leave it on site, and it's capable of drilling 1,000-metre deep holes. So our goal will be to go and site some holes and drill down and see what this thing really is, and we'll be doing that as soon as we can in the new year. So I would expect that might start, you know, certainly in the first quarter. I'm not sure exactly of the logistics. We've got to get some more rods in, we've got to get some more gear and people, and we've got to get everyone back, but as soon as we can.
Andrew, I just want to ask you, before I go on to copper, because I do want to talk about copper as well as gold, because you know I'm a gold nerd.
Yeah, me too, Kez.
Are you surprised at this?
While they were doing the survey, the first couple of lines looked good straight away. And then this thing just kept growing. We only did 6 lines, and you can see it on all the lines at a lower level. It's like anything, you know, chargeability is something that's measured, just like my weight is measured. Chargeability is a number. And of course, you get low chargeability and high chargeability. The core, I suppose what I'm impressed about here is the value of the core in terms of how chargeable it is. It's very chargeable. And in these rocks, which are largely granites, you know, they're not typically superchargeable rocks. So that tells us, you know, that there's something really substantial down there. It's pretty bloody big. I mean, it's even the small core. And if you look at the announcement, you'll see that the anomaly looks a bit like an avocado with a pip, right? Okay. So the stone of the avocado is the really high grade core, and that's over 1,500 meters long and about 800 meters wide at values of over 20 millivolts per volt, right? Who cares? Over 20, you know, that's a good chargeability number. It's right in the ballpark for where we'd expect a lot of sulphide mineralization. And this size is very typical of porphyry copper systems. So am I surprised? You know, you don't go into exploration unless you're an extreme optimist. So I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but I'm very bloody excited and very happy about the result. Absolutely.
Well done. I want to, because Meteoric has primarily focused on gold. We've spoken about your gold projects in the past.
Yeah.
But with the inclusion of the copper in here, does that put you in an even better position? Because the copper price has been rising quite strongly throughout 2020.
Absolutely. Well, the copper price is up about 26 or 7% for the year. About the same amount as the gold price as we speak, about 26 or 7%. I think that's been driven by renewables and you know, political situations. We see the copper market, and you know, even in previous roles, I've been exploring for copper a bit, and I think fundamentally it's a great metal because everything that's renewable, you know, your wind power, your electric cars, everything is designed around electricity. How do we transport electricity? Through copper wire. So we are continually going to have to upgrade our grids, our generation, everything to enhance, you know, to capture the renewable energy, and it all requires copper. For example, an electric car requires 4 times the amount of copper that a fuel, you know, a petrol car requires. So I see copper as being fundamentally a really good market. Copper and gold together, you know, invariably what you see in these copper gold deposits is you mine one to pay for the other. So, you know, if let's say the copper's 0.4% or, you know, 1%, whatever that number is, often that pays for all your mining costs and everything, and then the gold comes for free. So that's why these things, when you get 2 metals that are very valuable, that's why these things can be so great. One pays for the infrastructure and the mine, and the others you're effectively getting for free in the same process. So, and that just reflects, who knows what this thing is, you know.
Okay.
Very exciting.
What I do want to ask, I mean, we still are in this COVID chaos. Are there any challenges with COVID and the jurisdiction of Brazil? Is it fairly easy for you? Because right now, this announcement's come out today. It's pretty bloody exciting.
Sure. there's no doubt at the start of the year, I thought Brazil was going to be super tough. And it has been, in the sense that myself and my COO, we can't go there anymore. That has forced us, one, to pick up an Australian project, so we got Palm Springs, but two, to do business in a better, smarter way. So we've realised that we don't need to go there 4 times a year. You know, that we've got a great staff over there, that they have managed the COVID dilemmas really well. We've been on site all year. We've explored and drilled all year. We haven't had a single COVID issue. We've been very careful. We've instituted a whole bunch of practices. So can you do it? Absolutely. And ultimately, is it a better way? Well, I don't know, but it's probably cheaper. We're saving a lot of money on flying. And the guys in Brazil have done an amazing job. We're lucky in that we're remote. So we're away from the COVID hotspots, if you know what I mean. But of course, our people are not. Our people are coming and going. So we've instituted a lot of safety protocols around that, but we've done very well, and I'm very proud of our workforce.
Well, it's all about getting the right team. I say this to our audience all the time.
It's all about people.
People and projects. You've got both. Andrew, what would you like to say to our listeners right now? Look at that smile on his face. I mean, he's a pretty happy boy at the moment. It's exciting to have you on the Small Caps program today when you announce this, but what would your final thoughts be to those listening?
Well, I'm not promising that this is a discovery, but what we have done is put ourselves in the position to potentially make a discovery. And if it is, then it has the potential to be world-class, right? These deposits, when you do find one, can be typically pretty big and pretty profitable. So I would say to people, you know, now is your opportunity. Get into the stock, come and join us for what will be, you know, and I promise you, we will do the exploration. We will drill the holes. We were not going to die wondering, right? That's what we pride ourselves on as a company. We are an active explorer. So we will get out there, we will do the work, and if it's there, we'll find it. And if it's there, then we're worth a lot more than we're worth now.
Well, we had you on recently with Tolga Kamova, who most people will know in this space. He was pretty excited. I just got to finish with this. Is he excited after he heard this news?
He is. I noticed that he'd already tweeted out something about this morning after the announcement came out, and I had a very brief conversation with him. So there's things about Brazil that Tolga absolutely loves, and Tolga and I have spent some time in Brazil, and we had a wonderful trip. So I think, you know, he from an exploration point of view, it's still very unknown, and he's excited about that. He loves the exploration, and he likes. You know, Tolga's a guy, if he played baseball, he's the guy who's swinging for the fence. Or cricket, he's not hitting the singles. He's David Warner hitting the sixes. He's a guy who wants to have a crack. Yeah. And that's why we love him as our biggest shareholder.
Yep, we know he's your biggest shareholder. He's pretty excited today, I'm sure. Dr. Andrew Tunks, you heard it here first on Small Caps after that announcement. What a great day for you. Keep drilling, my friend.
We'll be there. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.